Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Thanks for being here. We're going to do a little bibliomancy spirit message through Toni Morrison's Beloved. And I'll try to be as respectful as possible given the topic. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my memory on how many pages there are so I know how many dice to grab. Alright, I'm feeling these three. Alright, Spirit. What are we reading today? What message is important? We have number 12. We have 2. And we have another 2. 12 breaks down to a 3. And of course 22 is a master number. So, what am I feeling? 52 breaks down to a 7. Okay. And I'm also going to write down these numbers for the title as well, in case it means anything to anybody as well. Okay. 52. It's from chapter 5. Setha dropped the shoes. Denver sat down and Paul D. smiled. He recognized the careful enunciation of letters by those like himself who could not read but had memorized the letters of their name. He was about to ask who her people were, but thought better of it. A young colored woman was drifting from ruin. He had been in Rochester 4 years ago and seen 5 women arriving with 14 female children. All their men, brothers, uncles, fathers, husbands, sons, had been picked off one by one by one. They had a single piece of paper directing them to a preacher on Divorce Street. The war had been over 4 or 5 years then, but nobody, white or black, seemed to know it. Odd clusters and strays of Negroes wandered the black roads and cowpaths from Schenectady to Jackson. Dazed but inconsistent, they searched each other out for word of a cousin, an aunt, a friend who once said, "Call on me. Any time you get near Chicago, just call on me." Some of them were running from family that could not support them, some to family, some were running from dead crops, dead kin, life threats, and took over land. Boys younger than Bogler and Howard, configurations and blends of families of women and children, while elsewhere, solitary, hunted and hunting for, were men, men, men. Forbidden public transportation, chased by debt and filthy talking sheets, they followed secondary routes, scanned the horizon for signs, and counted heavily on each other. Silent, except for social courtesies, when they met one another, they neither described nor asked about the sorrow that drove them from one place to another. The whites didn't bear speaking on. Everybody knew. So he did not press the young woman with the broken hat about where from or how come. If she wanted them to know and was strong enough to get through the telling, she would. What occupied them at the moment was what it might be that she needed. Underneath the major question, each harbored another. Paul D. wondered about the newness of her shoes. Setha was deeply touched by her sweet name. The remembrance of glittering headstone made her feel especially kindly towards her. Denver, however, was shaking. She looked at this sleepy beauty and wanted more. Setha hung her hat on a peg and turned graciously toward the girl. "That's a pretty name, beloved. Take off your hat, why don't you, and I'll make us something. We just got back from the carnival over near Cincinnati. Everything in there is something to see." Bolt upright in the chair, in the middle of Setha's welcome, Beloved had fallen asleep again. Miss, Paul D. shook her gently. "You want to lay down a spell?" She opened her eyes to slits and stood up on her soft new feet, which, barely capable of their job, slowly bore her to the keeping room. Once there, she collapsed on Baby Sug's bed. Denver removed her hat and put the quilt with 2 squares of color over her feet. She was breathing like a steam engine. "Sounds like a croup," said Paul D., closing the door. "Is she feverish? Denver, could you tell?" "No, she's cold." "Then she is. Fever goes from hot to cold." "Could have cholera," said Paul D. "Reckon?" "All that water, sure son." "Poor thing. And nothing in this house to give her for it. She'll just have to ride it out. That's a hateful sickness, if ever there was one." "She's not sick," said Denver, and the passion in her voice made them smile. 4 days she slept, waking and sitting up only for water. Denver tended to her, watched her sound sleep, listened to her labored breathing, and out of love and a breakneck possessiveness that charged her, hid like a personal blemish beloved's incontinence. She rinsed the sheets secretly. After Sethe went to the restaurant and Paul D. went scrounging for barges to help unload, she boiled the underwear and soaked it in bluing, praying the fever would pass without damage. So intent was her nursing, she forgot to eat or visit the emerald closet. "Beloved," Denver would whisper, "beloved." And when the black eyes opened to slice, all she could say was, "I'm here. I'm still here." There you go, guys. Have a great day.